Hi everyone, welcome to another bookmas video. Today I am going to be talking you through all of my thoughts and opinions on every single book on my winter TBR. So I was actually going to do a reading vlog for this. I did start a reading vlog, but then I came down with the flu. I got like really ill for about a week, so I obviously stopped filming that vlog, but I did still read the books. So I thought I would make it into a sit down video, talk you through all my thoughts and opinions because I did write them down as I was reading them. Let's just get right into it. So the first book that was on my winter TBR was Don't Let Him Go, and this follows Nina and her daughter Ash, who are grieving the death of Nina's husband Paddy. After the funeral, Nina is contacted by Nick, an old friend of Paddy's, who charms his way into her life and starts a romantic relationship. Meanwhile, the plot also follows a florist named Martha and her husband Al, who has been frequently away for work. As the women's lives unfold, they are on a collision course with the work and truth about the man who has entered their lives, leading them to question if he is who he says he is. So with this one, right from the start, I was intrigued. It grabbed my attention straight away, and I feel like the writing and the way it was done is why it intrigued me so much. And this book was definitely a wild ride. I would say this is definitely one of my favourite Lisa Jewell's books. Like, Lisa Jewell as an author has always been like a hit or miss for me. Some of the books I've really enjoyed, some of the books I haven't really enjoyed, but I definitely say this is one of my favourite. I felt like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time while reading this. Like, I just didn't know what to expect, and it was definitely very suspenseful and gripping. Like, I read this in one sitting, even while being ill. Like, I could not put this down. Then we have Behind Closed Doors, and this follows a couple named Jack and Grace, who appear to have a perfect marriage, but Grace is actually a prisoner in her own home, controlled by her abusive and sadistic husband Jack. The novel alternates between the present and the past, revealing how Jack manipulates and isolates Grace to maintain a flawless public image. Grace's primary motivation is to escape to protect her younger sister Millie, who is due to come live with them, as Jack has made it clear that Millie will face the same abuse. So obviously going into this was like, wow, this is going to be like a wild ride. This is going to be like a hard read, and it definitely was. It was a really hard read, especially because of how vile of a human being Jack is. Like, twist at the end was very well executed. I love that twist. I definitely did not see it coming. The writing was really good and gripping. The pacing of the story was done really well, and I really enjoyed the past and present POV in the book. It added some extra tension. Then we have One by One, and this is about a tech company's corporate retreat in a remote French chalet, I think that's how you say it, that turns deadly when a avalanche isolates the group. With communications cut off and one person missing, the surviving employees suspect one of them might be a murderer, as the company is fractured by a lucrative buyout offer and simmers resentments. This one personally wasn't for me. I definitely was bored throughout. Like, I wasn't really interested within the story or within the plot. I didn't like that we knew who the killer was straight away. I know that it's part of the story, but it would have been fun if we didn't know and had to uncover this mystery ourselves. Right from the beginning, we know who it is. We are following the story of the killer. And again, I know it's part of the story, it's intriguing, but I don't know, it would have been fun if... I love mysteries where you have to find out who it is. I feel like that's always more interesting. But they spent way too much time on other things instead of what the book was meant to be about. The ending wasn't that amazing to me. This book also felt a bit long, and the story carried on for a while after everything was solved, and it felt a bit unnecessary. Then we have Throne of the Fallen, and this follows the Prince of Envy and a talented artist named Camilla. Forced into a devil's bargain, they must work together to navigate a dangerous game and journey through the underworld to save Envy's court. They must also contend with their growing attraction, which threatens to be a bigger trap than the game itself. I found that this was very heavy on the romance, which I love as a romance reader. I love the plot of the fantasy as well. Camilla and Envy are fantastic. I love their character. The development of it was done really well. They are such complex characters with their own traumatic backstories and dark secrets. I loved how vulnerable they secretly are while showing a tough exterior, especially Envy. The chemistry between Camilla and Envy is off the charts because it was done so well. Like, you definitely felt it through the words. Then the next one I read was Winter Garden, and this is about two estranged sisters, Meredith and Nina, who are forced to confront their distant, emotionally cold mother Anaya after their father's deathbed request. To fulfill his last wish, Anaya agrees to tell them a fairy tale about her life, which is a metaphor for the true heartbreaking story of her youth as a survivor of the Leningrad Siege during World War II. I felt that the setup of the story is slow. I felt that the setup of the story was very slow, but much needed. I feel like Kristen Hanna does it on purpose to add more of like suspense and more of like, I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but to add more to the story. I feel like you don't realise how connected you are to the characters until right into the end, where your heart's breaking for them, and that's when it all hits you and you're like, wow, I absolutely love these characters. But I did feel like it did start to get a bit boring while I was waiting for the Mother's Fairy Tale. It did take a while to like get to that. I loved how the past and present timelines were written. They were done so well and they just flowed nicely together. And I love seeing the women reshape their relationship and learn more about themselves and each other throughout the story. I would say if you're going to read this, be patient through the first half, because the second half is so emotional. But like with the first half, you gotta trust the process. Just keep going with it. Then we have The Garden Life, and this follows Albright family's move to the harsh Alaskan wilderness in the 1970s, seeking a fresh start, but their isolated lives unravel as Vietnam veteran PTSD worsens, leading to escalating domestic abuse against his wife Cora, with a 13-year-old Lenny caught in the middle, navigating survival, a first love with Matthew, and the brutal reality of their situation. This absolutely destroyed me, but in the best way. What an amazing, unbelievably wonderful story about loss, love, finding yourself and trying to figure out your life. But Chris and Hannah betrayed everything in this book was phenomenal. This is such an emotional read, and the book gave you like all the feels. Breaks your heart but also repairs it all at the same time. Such a beautiful and powerful writing also. Then we have Beartown, and this is definitely an intense and impactful read. You can tell that the author clearly understands the human mind, thoughts and emotions. It is all in the book and done so well. This book is a deep look at humankind and a statement of society. The writing took a little bit of getting used to, just because this was my first Frederick Backman book, but once I got used to it, it was amazing. I liked how it jumped from different storylines and others' perspectives. I felt like it added to the story a lot. It was interesting to learn about so many different characters and see the growth of most of them. It was definitely a hard read and like very heartbreaking, but it was also very interesting and done very well. And it definitely brought up a lot of important topics. I read A Man Called Ove. I went straight into another Frederick Backman book, and this is about a solitary man named Ove whose rigid life is turned upside down after his wife dies and he's forced into retirement. The story follows his unexpected friendship with a young family who moves in next door, and his subsequent rediscovery of his emotions and purpose through helping those around him. The narrative frequently flashes back to Ove's past, revealing how he became the man he is today and the love he has for his late wife. He has crafted a story that undeniably tugs at your soul. Follow a grumpy old man from his perspective, going through the emotions of life. Each chapter pulls back another layer to Ove, revealing his thoughts, experiences, heartache, and what makes Ove himself. A new family moves in next door, which irritates the old man, but it forces him to face long, hard questions about himself. I feel like Ove as a character was definitely developed really well and done really well, and there was like, you could tell there was a lot of thought to it, and you could tell that he misses his wife and now he feels like life has betrayed him a lot. It's definitely a heartbreaking read, if I must say so myself. Then I read The Intruder. Now this was really good. Currently I've rated 3.5, but I'm thinking of moving up to a 4-star just because I have been thinking about this book. But this follows two perspectives. We have Cassie and Ella. Cassie lives in like the middle of nowhere in a cabin, and she is getting ready for a storm. There's going to be like no phone lines, no way of like getting out type thing. That is when she sees someone in her window and she's like, well, this isn't right. No one should be out there because, well, I'm in the middle of nowhere, there's going to be a storm. But then we also follow Ella's point of view, and in Ella's point of view, she is a 13-year-old girl who is kind of like an outcast. Her mother is kind of abusive, and she gets like bullied at school, but when she's home, like, so she has to deal with her abusive mother. The house is full of trash basically, and she is kind of like, at first she's like, I love my mother's doing this because she loves me, I don't want like grass on her because then I'll be taken away to foster care and I don't want to go anywhere else. She's really like fixated on finding her dad. But yeah, that's the perspectives. Altogether, this is just a really interesting book, and by the end, I guessed it. Like, I was shocked, if I must say so myself. Like, I didn't see it coming. Now, one thing near the end I did see coming, that I did, it's like with Freedom of Fanny you get the plot twist, but then you get like another twist afterwards. The other twist afterwards I did get. I feel like that was quite like obvious, but I still really enjoyed it. I would also say it's definitely not a favourite of Freedom McFadden's, but only because it took a while to get to things, and I understand why, but when you are trying to figure it out, you just want to know what it is. But I did really enjoy switching between the different perspectives, and this was, you definitely like mind boggled throughout the whole of the story. But once it all wraps up, you're like, everything makes sense. And then finally I read Love Arranged, and this follows Lily, who is a florist, and Lorenzo, who is a mayoral candidate, who enter a fake dating agreement to save their businesses and improve Lorenzo's public image. But their complicated history, forced proximity and unexpected feelings turn their business deal into a dangerously real romance. I enjoyed this one and explored the characters. I think that they was perfect for each other, and they brought out the positive in each other, like the positive side of each other. You can tell that Lily is tough, which is nice to see a badass male character. I love that you watch her slowly come back into herself and fight for what she wants. And Lorenzo is such a complicated character when you first meet him, but again you see growth within him, which was nice to see. The story was paced perfectly, and I think that everything, like the pacing of the book, was done really well. I feel like I'm someone that doesn't like big romance books. I just feel like most of the time they weren't needed, but I feel like the size of this book was definitely needed for the growth of each character and for everything to go the way it did. So that is the end of today's video. Definitely not the way I planned it. I really wanted to do a reading vlog for me reading all of my winter TBR, but this is like the first TBR that I've actually completed all of, which is great, but it just sucks that I got ill in the beginning of December when I was filming this. So I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave this emoji for watching to the end, and I hope to see you on my next one. Bye.